This week, a medicine man attempts to explain science to a programmer man.
What is our topic today?
Who
are we? What
Nate,
the fuck is this?
You're Ben, and this is Words About Books.
Yeah.
That's how we do an
there.
opener anymore. We just kind of throw it out there like we didn't want it, but it was an obligation.
We got there in the end.
Today, we're going to talk about Project Hail Mary, or really, I'm going to talk about it, and you're going to listen as I pour this sweet, sweet story into your ear holes.
Are you convincing me to read it, or are you just telling me the story of Project Hail Mary?
Both.
Okay.
How much do you want me to spoil?
Well, we'll just start, and I'll let you know if I feel like I'm going to read this. Okay, here's where I'm coming from. I haven't read The Martian. I haven't seen The Martian.
Neither have I. I've seen the movie. Most of it, some of it.
I don't like Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Matt Damon.
And I...
Hold on, what?
Yeah, he's not really for me.
Oh my god. What's wrong with you, Ben?
He's like the George...
Okay, defend yourself.
Okay, he's like the George Harrison of that era of actors. He's like the third
he's
best
the third
guy
best
who looks
actor,
like Matt Damon.
Yeah.
He's just the third best guy who looks like Matt Damon. So,
but that means out there somewhere is a Ringo.
Yeah, no, there are worse. Like, Matt Damon isn't so bad, I wouldn't see a movie if he were in it. He's not Tom Cruise. But...
Ooh, oh. Did you know he did his own stunts, Ben?
Yeah, I did, and I also know he's like a 50th level wizard in the Church of Scientology, and that just makes me like him less. A little bit more every day.
Space wizard. Okay,
Whatever.
Get it right.
My point is, Matt Damon, a whole movie just focused on Matt Damon's stupid face. That wasn't for me.
Well, if it helps, it's not really about the characters, Ben.
Yeah, so that brings me to my
kind of sensing.
second point. It had that air of like, I'm gonna science the shit out of it.
This is the power of math, people! Come on!
You are correct, MC.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to bring that up right off the get-go. So, I listened to the audiobook. Authors is it Andy Weir, Andy Weir? I don't know, man.
I have always said Weir.
Okay, that's what I've always said, and that's what I'm going to continue to say until someone corrects me. Audiobook read by Ray Porter, who is just the most generic audio reader ever. He also did Dead Moon and a whole bunch of other stuff.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Who did Andy Weir?
Andy Weir had a comment about how Ready Player One was an amazing book.
Yes.
And it did kind of make me lose a little bit of respect for him.
Wow, what a connection. Okay, what a trifecta here. We've got the...
He's the missing link, Ben,
he links
Klein.
Yeah, he links Kleins and Klein. He's the Fold plus Ready Player One. The Fold was a book we read in the first season that no one has listened to those episodes. But that was peak Words About Books. It's been downhill ever since. Oh, what? Okay, I'm interested now. I'm actually interested now. God, this is the Rosetta Stone of awful.
So, yeah, Project Hail Mary, so it definitely, I don't know if I would say Andy Weir is one of these people, but the book definitely appeals to the type of person who they will tell you about how religion is dumb and you're dumb for believing it. And by the way, I don't practice a religion, so I don't have a hat in this race, right? But they're the kind of people who say that, and then they go home and worship at the altar of science. And they're just the most annoying type of person because they don't realize that they're doing it.
That was kind of the vibe I got from The Martian was that Andy Weir was a guy who was like legitimately interested in science. Is he a scientist?
Ben, you're the research guy, okay?
Yeah, well,
I'm the
okay.
guy who comes on here and shouts at you and talks over you, and you're the research guy.
Okay, so here's what I'll tell you that I know about Andy Weir. I know that he writes about science. He writes very intelligently about science. I also know
Programmer. He's one of your people.
Well, that my people are
He
the
worked
worst at
on
this.
Warcraft 2, Tides of Darkness.
Oh Jesus. Okay. My programmer friends are possibly the worst case of science adjacent people who think because they're science adjacent, they've pretty much got a handle on all science.
Oh, well,
don't.
if you don't like that, you are not going to like the main character of this book, who is a scientist who sciences science.
Oh, he does all the science. He's an everything
He
scientist.
sciences so much science, Ben.
Yep. So it goes both ways because I've seen code written by scientists and it's fucking terrible. They barely get it to work and then they're done and it's
I've seen
unmaintainable.
shorthand written by scientists, and it's pretty awful.
But the other thing I know about Andy Weir is that The Martian was published chapter by chapter on his blog.
And I just found out that he wrote a prequel to Ready Player One, a short story prequel to Ready Player One that was edited by Ernest Cline. What is going on here, Ben?
What? Why aren't we reading? Okay, first off, we're reading that. Put that on the schedule right now. I don't even know why we're doing this right now when that's in the world.
I didn't even know that was a thing, Ben. That's why I didn't do it.
Thank God. Okay, we can end the episode here. We got what we came for.
It's a short story about Nolan Sorrento set within the Oasis universe, written by Andy Weir.
I love everything about it. This is the first Andy Weir thing I'm ever going to read. So,
Oh my god.
but I do know he was something of a publishing unicorn because he published this on his blog. He was going to self-publish the book. I don't think he really had an interest in seeking publication, but the self-published version became so popular that a publisher reached out to him and gave him a deal. And the only other person I know of that's happened to recently is Travis Baldree with Legends and Lattes. So
And Travis Baldree has not said on record that Ready Player One was an amazing book, and Travis Baldree also hasn't written any Ready Player One fan fiction short stories. So I know who I prefer more.
yeah, well, but it is interesting. I mean, that's kind of like the dream we're all chasing, right? Is that one day we'll just be sitting in a bar and possibly a bar being rescued by a man with an amazingly thick neck, and one day we'll just be noticed by a publisher and they'll come and give us our dreams, and we'll get a movie starring a handsome-ish actor and
Chris Hemsworth.
oh, that's full-blown handsome.
Oh, damn it.
That's full-blown handsome.
How about Paul Rudd?
No, he's too good looking.
How
Leonardo
about...
DiCaprio.
I was
Leonardo
going to say
DiCaprio
Jim from
is
The
an
Office.
ugly man.
I can't remember his
Oh, I hate that guy's face. Jim from The Office? Or Dwight? Because Dwight's, like, he circles back into cute.
You have a strange taste, Ben.
Have you seen him with the beard?
Jim from The Office or Dwight from The Office?
Dwight from The Office.
I have not. I've seen
Dwight
Jim
from The Office
with a beard.
Jim from The Office with a beard looks like a cartoon character with a beard. This isn't what anybody's here for, okay? We're here to talk about... But my point is, I think Andy
We're going to
Weir-
live that dream, Ben.
Yeah, but I think Andy Weir actually has a really interesting story about his publishing journey. His book struck me as being very much not for me because I'm going to admit I don't understand the physics of space travel. Though I minored in math and I program computers,
Well,
I don't know
that
shit
should qualify
about
you to be a science man.
I don't know anything about growing potatoes in Mars. I don't know anything about any of this. So
You put the seed in the ground, you pour water on it, maybe some fertilizer. Done. What's to know, Ben? This is
Well,
easy.
You tell me. So why did you skip The Martian and go straight to Project Hail Mary?
Because I saw it recommended to me. Probably on Goodreads or possibly on the Kindle, Ben.
Both of those are terrible ways to discover books.
Yeah. And now here we are.
The only correct
actually
way to
like this
discover
book.
books is through podcasts.
Agreed. So I'm going to tell you about this book, and you, the listener, will make the determination if you want to read it, and Ben will read it, probably. I don't know.
Maybe. I'm going to read that short story first, but maybe. But anyway, let's talk about Project Hail Mary. by
Project
Andy
Hail
Weir.
Mary. What do you know about this book? Do you know anything about this book?
I feel like they go farther than Mars.
Yeah, see, I didn't know much about this book. For some reason, I was getting, was it Armageddon vibes? Is that where Steve Buscemi and Bruce Willis go up onto a meteor or whatever? And,
So I got a confession, I've never seen Armageddon, but I have seen the
neither.
Aerosmith music
But I-
video.
yes.
So I feel
Yeah, that's-
like-
I think that's more popular than the movie, honestly.
Lay awake just to feel you breathing. I don't know the lyrics.
So it's got an interesting structure, and by interesting I mean really good at the beginning and at the end, and in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, so
So
most
our
books.
guy,
I said that you're describing most books. I won't fault him for that too much.
well, it goes back and forth between the present and the past, and the past. Okay, so he wakes up, he has amnesia. Our guy. And so the past starts informing stuff in the present. He starts remembering how to do stuff, where he's at, why he's here. And then after he discovers that, there's like a story on like why is this guy of all people here? But it's not really that important, and the payoff didn't the payoff did not warrant all of the times away from the more enjoyable, interesting parts of the book. So the pacing's a little off, in my opinion.
Okay.
So our guy wakes up, difficulty opening his eyes, difficulty talking, mouth as dry as a bone, got an IV shoved in his arm, several of them. A robot keeps asking him, like, simple, basic questions, like,
What's 2 plus 2?
and he's struggling just to answer that.
Do you need more IVs?
Oh, that's that good shit.
Yeah. What he decides to do instead, though, is whatever he... Oh, God, this is from
Pull 'em all
experience,
out?
Ben.
You pull 'em all out?
Pull them all out. You're just like, I'm out of here. It's like, no, dude, you need the stuff that's in that IV. That's why it's there. But he's like, I'm out. He's in like a bed that's like on the wall.
Okay.
So off he goes to the ground, and he notices there are two other beds, and the robot won't let him leave, and keeps asking him what 2 plus 2 is until he can answer it correctly. And he's like, fellow humans, help me! The machine's holding me captive.
I'm going to stop you there. I love the image of a man checking out against medical advice, unable to answer the question, what is 2 plus 2, and then calling out to his fellow patriots for assistance in escaping this machine.
Yeah.
I feel like that reminds me of something, but I don't know what. Continue.
Well, they're mummified, Ben. They're desiccated. They're super dead.
Now, that's what happens when you pull out an IV.
Yeah. His memory starts to come back. He answers questions successfully. He starts eating gross sludge pumped into him, like it's like toothpaste goo made of meat, because his stomach hasn't been active for a very long time, apparently. He's been in a coma for a while, Ben.
I gather.
It's also really, really weird because he like goes for a hatch up like a ladder, I think, to get to another section of wherever he's in, Ben, and he at first fails and eats shit, and the fall was really odd, Ben. It's artificial gravity. He figures out he's not under Earth gravity.
He falls like a little off to the side.
He falls faster and harder.
Oh. That's not what you want to do after you got your brittle bones out of a coma.
Yeah, it really isn't. So he starts remembering his past. I like the way it's fed to both you and him.
As a meat slurry?
Yes.
McDonald's calls it the McRib sandwich.
I like his gooey backstory just injected into my mouth hole, Ben.
Because I'm not used to reading, so it's got to go down easy.
Yeah. Yeah. It needs to be processed for me already. So
Like
this
a baby bird.
this dude is a school teacher, Ben, because of course he is. See,
Okay.
he's a science teacher who sciences science like a science man who sciences all the science. He got out of academia because they didn't like his thesis or some shit.
Okay, okay, so I need to back up. He's a science teacher. Now, are we talking like a college level science? No, we're talking like 6th
I
grade
think
earth
they're
science.
middle school. Yeah.
Okay. And he knows how
I think
to
he's a
do.
biology teacher.
Oh, they're always the best.
Yeah.
They're the most
They're
sciencey of
the smartest.
See, I thought it
his-
would have been a physics teacher because they're usually like, I'm smarter than
He
God.
knows
I
physics.
know physics. Of
He
course
knows
he does.
so much physics. He sets up a pendulum experiment, and that's how he calculates the gravity in here, Ben, to realize that he's not on Earth.
So
And
this
then
is
he's
why I
like,
didn't want to
okay.
read The Martian. This is why, like, I heard about a bunch of stuff like this, and I was like, I just simply don't care. Like, it felt like this guy went out and looked up, like, all the little tricks, like, oh, how did they initially calculate that the
Ben,
Earth was
it's
round? They
in
measured the
his
shadows, and
head
it's like, I don't care.
Don't you have a just a working knowledge of all of the programming because you're a programmer?
Now, Nathaniel, you're asking for like the trade secrets of programming, and that is that like no programmer can function effectively without constant access to Stack Overflow.
Oh, I know, Ben. You told me this. I am a medicine man, therefore I know all of the medicine everywhere.
Brother in
That's how that
Christ, I
works.
could not even set up a Java web project without Googling. And I have been a programmer, web programming too, for like a decade. I've worked on Java projects. They were like, Ben, we need you to set up a new one. And I was like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. But you do, secretly, is the point of this conversation. Just like this guy knew, okay, I'm a biology middle school science teacher, and the gravity feels weird, so I'm going to pull out a pendulum and get a calculator and stopwatch, and I'm going to solve this problem.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
See, I guess my thing, why I think it's dumb, I guess I should say, is not because that's not like neat to know. It is neat, but also
But who would ever
no
do
one
that?
would do that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's just no way it's faster than like breaking into the cockpit. You would just look out a window or something. Like nobody gives a shit.
Oh,
about
there's
your
no
pendulum.
window in this room, Ben.
No, because he
The
needs to do his
cockpit is
pendulum
sealed
experiment.
because he needs to say what his name is. He needs to remember who he is, or
So
he's
it's
not fit into
easier.
that cockpit.
It's easier to get out a pendulum and calculate a trajectory.
Yes,
and
obviously.
information which does you no practical good.
Other than it tells you that you're not under Earth gravity, Ben, and
Which
then he
you
does
knew from
another
eating
experiment to know for sure that he is not in a giant centrifuge. So he's like, okay, how else could they generate that gravity? Oh, rocket ship. Bam.
Okay,
Nailed
can
it.
we-
I'm on a rocket ship.
Can we talk about amnesia?
No, we can't. I've already forgotten what it is, Ben. That's the nature of amnesia.
That's the nature of amnesia. What kind of amnesia do you get where you just forget what a car is?
Okay, so Ben, I'm going to have you put a pin in that because this comes up later.
Okay. Did he get his mind
It's
wiped by
explained.
aliens?
I don't know if you are going to like the explanation, but there is an explanation.
Okay.
Also, his name is Ryland Grace.
Wow. Oh my God. Nathaniel. Oh my God.
I found the missing link.
The
It fills in
synchronicities.
everything.
Okay. You know what? I'm coming back around. I'm in again. Now that we have established the connection to the Seraphine universe, I'm in.
So, he remembers his name after some flashbacks. He gets himself into the cockpit. He's like, holy shit, the sun's in front of me. But wait, Ben, as you know, obviously, because you are a science man, the sunspots on this sun are a little weird. They're a little off from what the sunspots should be. Let me calculate out, and oh my god, this is a different star, Ben. I'm in a different system. As you know. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, you like that? You like how he figures that out by knowing how the sun looks normally?
I mean, don't sunspots change all the time?
I have no fucking clue, Ben, but I'm not a science man, okay?
So
I'm a medicine man. So I'm like,
sun's
hey,
the same
I'm going to
color.
prescribe this medicine for you, and hold on, let me get out my chemistry kit. I'm also going to make that medicine for you right here at the table.
So, okay. I mean, I guess I'm from what I know of sunspots, and I can guarantee from what my 6th grade science teacher knows of sunspots.
Your 6th grade science teacher wasn't Ryland Grace.
Safe to say. But I know that they exist. I know that they are spots on the sun.
Yeah.
And I know that they change all the time, and no one really knows what's going on.
You also know what they look like on our sun, and
Well, I guess that's
you
what I'm
know
trying to...
when they look weird, and thus can deduce that you're looking at a different star from our sun.
I guess
Clearly.
that's what I'm trying to relate to you, though, is sunspots not constant, right?
Yeah.
So how do you know you're not just at a different point in time where the sunspots look different?
Because, Ben, he busts out a chronometer, right? And he's like, let me calculate how long it's been since
Does he
I've been
really?
in a coma. No, he doesn't.
And by chronometer,
I-
you mean clock?
No, it's a special
Calendar?
clock, Ben.
It's a special clock that measures days. I will name it a chronometer.
I'm pretty sure he figures it out based on sunspots. I could be wrong about that.
Well, okay, so you know how most people would figure that out in most things? Like a way that would
By-
be plausible? Constellations are wrong.
Yeah.
That's how most
But-
people who are familiar with astronomy would figure that out. I don't think anybody would be able to look at the sunspots unless you were specifically a sun scientist, whatever that is called. A solaronomer.
Solaronomer.
A solarmancer. You're not gonna know.
I think I just figured out the name of my next book. Solarmancer.
He channels the power of sunspots. Whatever the hell they are.
So
Do you know what a sunspot is? Do any of us know what a sunspot is?
I'm gonna
Join my
say
Discord
yes.
if you know what a sunspot is. Oh, Jesus Christ. Go on.
All right, so Ben.
Okay.
Yep. You might be wondering, why is a middle school science teacher on a fucking spaceship? You might be wondering that. Have you wondered that yet?
I have wondered that. I imagine he's wondered that.
Yeah, he has wondered that. He's practicing meditation to unlock his memories, like some sort of Avatar: The Last Airbender, talking to your past lives.
Nothing
thing.
this guy does makes sense. I'm sorry. That is not anyone's instinct. Like, I do wonder, like, I bet Andy Weir, like, it could just be that he is actually, like, a really smart guy, and he just does not relate to the world in the way most people relate to it, because this is no one's first instinct.
Well, this is this guy's first instinct. Okay.
I'm with you.
So he's like, okay. He remembers, probably years ago at this point, he had a friend who mentioned that, okay, a whole bunch of things come together. The sun, there's like a weird band of IR light from the sun going to Venus. And now they've noticed that the sun's luminosity is dimming at an exponential rate, to the point where in about 30 years, the Earth will be mostly uninhabitable.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
You with me? So
I'm with you, and I'm okay, go on.
So,
go on.
So I was reading fucking Caliban's War, where there was also something on Venus that could end all of humanity, like at the very same time as this book. It's very strange. I like this one's reveal only because it actually focused on that. Like, it wasn't just kept till the end of this book.
That's good. Okay, I like it.
So we shoot a ship over there, right? Just, and we grab a sample of whatever the fuck is inside the IR band.
Okay.
And we bring the sample back.
IR meaning infrared?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's a bunch of dots, Ben. But the dots are moving.
Okay. Go on.
I just found alien life, Ben.
All right. And it's eating the sun?
Yeah, basically. So our guy, Ryland Grace, who I think they've called Dr. Grace, but I can't imagine he actually got his doctorate.
Yeah, you just said he dropped out.
Yeah, it's all hazy. It's been a while. I didn't take notes. Didn't think we'd be talking about this, at least not this year. But here we are, Ben. You're going to get my hazy recollection, and you're going to fucking like it, Ben. You're going to like it.
All right. I'm listening.
So what he did was he wrote a paper on how an organism doesn't necessarily need to have water to be alive, but he wrote it in such a way that it was basically like a fuck you to the entire scientific community, and then he bailed and became a middle school teacher. As you do.
Why did he do that?
Because he was angry at everyone, and he didn't want to try anymore. The end.
And, okay.
But he's approached by a woman who sounds exactly like Ray Porter, except he's trying to be a woman, and...
Oh, I hate Ray Porter's woman voice.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it.
I am listening to Dead Moon, and it is so terrible. Mine is better. I can't even do it as bad as he does.
She also has an accent, Ben. So
I love his accents
doubly bad.
too. There was one time he mentioned a Latino man, and it got uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not great, and she's in this book a lot, and she sought out Ryland Grace because he's something, a really good biologist. Here are some dots, figure it out.
You're the only man who has ever thought that maybe life doesn't need water. Come with me. We need your valuable insight.
Now here's something you're just going to have to accept, okay? It's a conceit of the book, but it cannot, the book can literally not proceed if you don't accept that every major nation in the United Nations has given her complete and total authority and power to solve this crisis. You're just going to have to accept that, Ben. It doesn't make sense. It would never happen that way. We would just bicker with each other and fight over limited resources until we were dead. But this isn't the book about the political machinations of a dying human race. This is the book about guys sciencing things in another solar system. So
Hey,
you
look,
just have to accept that. You gotta be on board with that.
I am on board
dumb.
with that. Okay. I'm with you. The only reason
Good.
I'm just going to point out, the only reason I draw attention to that problem in The Expanse is because The Expanse is more about humanity's future and how the politics evolve in a multi-planetary society. And that's where it becomes like, okay, well, you got to actually, if you're going to explore that, you got to explore that. You can't just hand wave it away. But
yes,
it doesn't sound like this book is interested in that aspect of it.
This book is not about the politics, and I'm okay with them just being like, yep, the UN gave this person all the power, so they're gonna go science a solution. Done.
It's funny to pick on, but yeah, it's a nitpick. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, it did bother me in The Expanse as well. And again, I read that at the same time I was reading this. So
Well, the Expanse was, explicitly set around politicians and people making political decisions, and the science was quickly abandoned after the first book. So I understand they eventually find a portal, so that's nice.
I think that's what was launched at the end of the last book. But
Yeah.
on this book, there is no portal, Ben. They've got to science their way out.
Hooray.
So he figures out how to puncture the creature. And it actually looks very similar on the inside to our cells. It's completely black until it gets punctured. There's some scientific reason for why light doesn't pass through it. I think it's because it absorbs all the light. Whatever. He also finds out basically how to breed them. Right, so what's happening is
Sounds like the opposite of what you'd want to do, but
he calls them astrophage. They eat solar energy. So they eat the solar energy. They go to the nearest planet with a high amount of carbon. I think it was carbon. They go there. They do the two-dotted mambo with whatever. I guess they just split in half. I guess they do some lame reproduction that isn't cool.
You're probably not going to be able to write an erotica about that.
You'd be surprised. And then they go back from Venus to the sun to eat more. And that's why the sun is dimming. That's why it's running out of energy. And also why it's happening at an exponential rate. They're just breeding out of control.
They're actually on the sun eating the sun.
Yes.
They're not
and
just...
I think there's... Yes. They're that's how they get it. We all... Aren't we all just absorbing food, Ben?
Right, but so we don't drain the sun any faster by using the energy it emits. It's going to emit that energy regardless. We just stand in the way and catch it. So is this molecule doing... or this organism doing that?
I think it's absorbing the energy in a way...
before it gets to us.
Well, okay. So the energy of an ecosystem remains constant. It flows through the whole system, right?
What?
Okay, Ben. Imagine you've got a bunch of space fungus that are eating your star.
Okay, yeah, but I'm asking, what does that mean to eat a star? They're consuming the hydrogen that...
They are pulling... look, Ben, it's been a while. They're pulling off the energy from the star in such a way that it is emitting the energy faster. Future Nate again. I was wrong. This is basically like algae growing on a pond. It just blots out all the oxygen, except instead of a pond, it's a star, and instead of oxygen, it's light.
Okay.
We're just going to have to deal with that. I could be wrong here. I could be making an ass of myself, Ben. But I'm pretty sure they be eating some sun, yo.
Okay, taste the sun. What's the Sunny D thing?
The Sunny D thing is where it tastes like shit, and you realize your childhood was a lie.
Oh, Sunny D, all right.
Oh. Okay.
It tastes like medicine, Ben. Why did we ever think that was good?
Okay, I'm with you. Space fungus is eating the
Yeah.
sun.
And at first, Ryland is like thrown off the project because they're like, all right, well, we thought it was going to be some sort of unique life form that didn't require water, but it's got water inside of it. So, like, you can go now. Bye. But he...
Really?
Yeah.
But he was the one who figured out how to stab it.
Yeah.
You use a needle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, he figured out how to do a stabby stab, and he notices... Not notices. He realizes when he's talking to his students, and his students are all like, "Oh, what's going on with the sun?" And he's like, "Yeah, in about 30,
We're all gonna die.
in about
kids.
30 years, things are gonna be really bad." And all the students are like, "Oh, but 30 years—that's a really long time away. Whatever. No problems.
You're wasting
no worries
the
here."
last precious moments of your life in my classroom.
And
Leave.
So he's thinking like, wow, my students are going to start like coming of age in a world that is going to be under total environmental collapse. I gotta
imagine.
do something. Yeah, I
Who could
can't
ever imagine such a terrible scenario?
I know, right? This is hilarious.
Yeah.
Luckily, if any scenario like that were ever to happen, we would all get on the same page, and we would give special powers to someone with the power of the UN, who will then solve all of our problems. So, thank God.
Okay.
Thank God that.
So obviously, you're telling me the solution they come up with is to shoot a science teacher into deep space.
Yes. Well, again, a lot of the flashback stuff becomes more explanation as time goes on, so turns out the astrophage has a ton of energy inside of it, so if you use that as fuel,
No shit.
boom, you can blast into another solar system.
Looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again!
They also
sorry,
come
we
up
can
with a weird plan to, like, cover the Sahara Desert in, like, energy-absorbing cubes. I don't remember that one. I do remember they detonate nukes underneath the Antarctic ice to release a bunch of methane in order to heat the planet up to prevent as much climate change as possible because we need to buy time. At no point does anyone suggest shooting a rocket to Venus with like a whole bunch of needles and just doing a stabby, but...
Okay, really? Because that was going to be my first question. If you can use them as fuel, can you not just burn them all to death?
No, because that's in a vacuum. I said it like Goku. Okay, it's in a vacuum.
I know you did.
You can't just flame them. My thought was, can you just make like a really, really, really tight net, like microscopically tight, and you just scoop up a whole bunch? You don't need to get rid of all of them, but you scoop up enough to buy time.
You remember the movie with Matthew McConaughey, who is like Matt Damon, but with a little more charm? Interstellar.
Matthew McConaughey. I'm trying to think. Is that the...
He drives a Lincoln sometimes.
Is that the guy who, like, fails at everything? Or is that...
And he talks like this, Murph. He was in Contact.
Who am I? Oh, I'm thinking Ben Affleck, who's the failure.
Yeah, no. Ben Affleck is more attractive than Matt Damon, but worse than Matt Damon. He's just really not a good-looking guy. I don't get it. I don't get it. He's fit, yeah, but like, I don't know.
Okay,
look, I'm not aroused by Matt Damon. Stop shoving him down my throat, okay? Anyway, my point is, in Interstellar, they also had to come up with a stupid reason for leaving Earth. And that stupid reason was just, shit don't grow here no more.
Okay.
And so it was somehow easier to shoot someone to the next star over than it was to fix Earth or terraform another body.
Yes. So here's why then.
Okay.
So they, astronomers, other scientists, but star scientists. Okay.
Yeah, not the most valuable of the scientists.
They're looking around and they're like, there's actually a bunch of stars in this cluster who all have that IR band that are all getting less luminous, except for one. One of the stars
one they're
has the
gonna go to
IR
next.
band, but it's maintaining its luminosity. So we gotta figure out why that is. Let's shoot a guy over there in a rocket.
So that in, 5,000 years, he might figure it out long after we're all dead?
I think it's only like a 10-year trip. I can't remember why, Ben. But all I know is if you burn enough
What
astrophage,
stars?
you'll be fine.
Okay,
Maybe it was like 10 years.
hang on a second. I'm just gonna quick Google. Okay, so he's going to what? Alpha Centauri?
He's going to Tau Ceti, which is like, I'm Googling, is about 12 light years away. So there you go.
He's traveling faster than the speed of light.
He's traveling at about the speed of light.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
That seems like a problem.
The science, look, I don't know the science because I'm a medicine man, as we've established, but I can tell you there's no warp drive, so he has to arrive there at around 12 light years or more. But it's not hundreds and hundreds of years because we'll all be dead.
Hang on a second. So now I could do a lot of complicated physics and
Are you getting out your pendulum and your
I'm getting out my
chronometer
pendulum.
and
By which I mean I'm Googling time dilation calculator.
he definitely does mention time dilation.
Okay, so how much is the time dilation?
Ben, you're asking me for details that were not the important
Is it 10
part
years for him or 10 years for the people on Earth? Because if it's 10 years for him, it's quite a while on Earth.
All I can tell you, Ben, is that he saves the day at the end, and we're not all dead. Time slowing to a stop as one approaches the speed of light.
Yes. That's why I'm asking.
Maybe it was 10
So
years
him,
for
it would-
us, and it was like
that would make
less
more
than
sense.
that for him. That would make more
that would
sense.
make more sense.
I'm sure Andy Weir, he Googled how to do it. I'm sure he pulled
sure
out a
he
pendulum.
did.
I'm sure he got the little styrofoam balls and he made some solar system models and he calculated what it would be, Ben.
Okay. I'm sure he did. You know, I took physics in college. Like, I actually did a lot of really intense math in college. And, like, once you start podcasting, it just out the window. Okay, so, yeah, he gets there. I don't care.
Okay.
You can cut that. I don't even care.
No, it's too late, Ben. He gets there.
He gets there.
He launches himself using astrophage, which astrophage are also some sort of radiation shielding, so they line the walls of his ship, Ben. Astrophage have a lot of useful properties.
How did he make them do all of this?
You could capture them, and you they're not intelligent, they're single-celled organisms.
So why don't they just take them away?
Take them away from where?
The sun.
Yeah, Ben, that's what I wanted to know, because then we wouldn't get to have a fun space adventure. Again, I'm sure you could weave a net that is microscopically sound, and you could capture
I mean,
a bunch
like,
of them.
I
You
guess
don't
it
even
depends
have
how
to
many
get
of them there
all,
are.
right? Like, if you
Yeah,
miss
that's
some
true,
of them,
like-
they'll repopulate, but, like, you're just buying time.
Yeah. Yeah, until you could build an ever bigger net.
Yeah. Eventually, you
If you
just
could- what
put
if
a
you could,
net
like-
around Venus, and you solved your problems.
Yeah. I don't care. Go on.
So,
I'm really glad we got that pendulum scene, because that we desperately needed, like, you need to start with a science that, like, your target market can actually understand, so that they feel smart going in, and then you hit them with all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, astrophage, yeah, radiation, yeah, I get it.
yeah.
I know stuff. Yeah.
So
I'm smart. Rick and Morty. It's a very intelligent show until that guy.
You've got to
committed all those
understand
violent sex
theoretical
crimes.
physics in order to really get the most out of Rick and Morty.
Yeah, that one where they went quadrimensional. I read a Reddit post about dimensions once. I'm pretty
Again, I don't fault the author for this, but I'm sure his audience is made up of some not great people to be around at a party or in general.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, they don't read books, so maybe they're not his audience.
Well, there's
I
an
would say,
audiobook,
honestly-
Ben, with Ray Porter.
Oh, that's right. God. They could have gotten Matt Damon. He was in the
Could have
movie.
gotten
Yeah, no,
Ernest Cline.
honestly, better. Honest to God. Honestly,
You
better.
hate Ray Porter that much, huh?
I do not enjoy his voice. Ernest Cline just doing I've heard his beat poetry. It's not good, but his voice isn't terrible.
Wow.
If he just did a straightforward reading and he did not attempt to sound like a woman, and for the love of God, do not do other races with voices. That's avoid that. But yeah, then it would be fine.
Let's talk about so he's in this other solar system, Ben. He's found the IR band. He found the planet that they're going to, and there's like a really weird, bright, glowing, whatever, like right nearby. Like really bright, Ben. It's a fucking giant spaceship.
Oh wow.
Yeah. This is the best part of the book,
Okay.
Ben.
Okay.
Because the ship starts, they start like gesturing at each other. The ship has like a little metal arm on it, and he goes out of the airlock to get some packages. They send stuff back and forth. They're trying to communicate.
He just knocks on their door with his metal arm. It's like, hey, could you stop stealing my son? And the day is saved.
So he gets a little model of like basically where this person's from, and he marks where he's from. They send it back and forth. His ship is composed of like there's like xenon in there, and he mentions that's a noble gas. It doesn't react with anything, and it's super strong. And then like we move forward, right? Like we don't talk
It's
about that anymore
strong?
because he can't explain how a noble gas gets turned into an incredibly durable, solid object, because we don't know how to do that, Ben. We just need to move on.
We don't know how to do a lot of the things he's done so far.
Yeah, but those
And he
were
explained that away
astrophage
with-
magic. Okay, now we
Right,
need
astrophage
xenonite magic.
Okay. So he hit the Zerg, now he's hitting the Protoss.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Why not?
Why not? I love that. Why not?
So we find out, like, all the stuff that he's getting sent over, all the little packages and stuff, smell like cat pee, right? Because, ammonia, right?
Yep.
So
So that's another little thing that people are going to latch onto and talk about way too much.
Yeah.
Is like, did you know that it smells like that because of ammonia?
yeah, it's fucking awful. It's one of the worst things about cats. They need to quit it. I got rid of a cat because it decided it was just going to pee on my couch nonstop. It was awful.
And then I
man.
told the Humane Society you're a public service. And I think it's coming full circle on you, man.
No, I actually scheduled an appointment and paid them money to take her off my hands. But I did hear about that story from my friend because I told him, like, I went down there and they said, hey, you have to schedule an appointment. And then he told me the story about how he just decided to abandon his cat in a building and walk away, knowing that they wouldn't do anything about it.
Okay. You're just gambling there on the fact that they care about that cat more than you do. Which is probably true.
Yeah,
but that's
definitely
not-
true. What are you talking about?
Okay.
So the thing that happens is they eventually build an airlock that they can both survive in, even though the alien's in an ammonia atmosphere that's like 400 degrees. They find a way to make it work because, Ben, our guy Ryland, he's a science, right? He sciences all the science, but he's not an engineer. He can't build things. He has to use tools
What?
that are already built for him, because that's what an engineer does. There's a difference between an engineer and a science man. One works with their hands, one works with their brain. The other one also works with their
What?
brain, but they build stuff with the thing, Ben. The explanation
sorry,
is
what?
that the engineer on
can't-
board was one of the people who died.
What?
Yeah, the captain
can't
and the
build-
engineer died.
I'm sorry. He can't run this by me again. He can't build things.
He can't
like,
build an airlock, Ben. He's not an engineer.
He just doesn't have the proficiency.
Yes,
it's like
he
in
put-
D&D
he
when
put
you
all
don't
his
have a
points
weapon
in
proficiency and you
science.
you pick up a bow but you don't have the bow proficiency, and so you're just like, what even string, the string's facing the wrong way and you're like maybe gonna shoot yourself in the face. What do you mean he can't, like, he's got all the science, right?
Yes.
He's got all the science.
He can
But he
science.
just can't apply it.
He can set up an experiment, Ben. But unless you give him all the material to do that, he's powerless.
Do you think maybe you don't send that guy?
Well, you send him with an engineer, Ben, who can engineer
Wait,
all
how
the
did he?
engineering.
I thought he got fired. How did he even wind up on this ship?
Well, Ben, okay, we'll skip forward in the flashbacks because it doesn't matter, right? What we
Okay.
find out towards the end. So there was another person who's going to be the science officer, and there was a backup to that science officer. And they all have accents of varying ethnicities, and Ray Porter does them, and it's awful. And
Are you serious?
yes, yes, I
What are
would not
they? Please
lie
tell
about
me.
that, Ben.
Please tell me what the ethnicities are.
Oh, God, I think this guy's like Russian.
Okay, that's not terrible. You could do Russians.
And he likes to talk about how he be fucking the science understudy.
Hey, that happens on the Moon book too. Go on.
Yeah, so they're both like very explicit about it. They're like, we just want to let you know we be fucking ha ha ha, and also I can't wait to go science out all the science on this spaceship mission that we're going on. I can't wait to science. Me and understudy lady, we're both aware that one of us is going on this spaceship, and by the way, it's a one-way trip. They're gonna send them out there, gather data, fire it back in Beatles. There's your reference, Ben. There's how Beatles tie
I'm
in all
sorry.
this.
Beatles?
Little tiny things that basically they're flying hard drives, and
Okay.
you don't have to. You can shoot them back really fast because don't have people inside of them to be all gooey from the extra gravity. So
Well, you're already traveling at near the speed of light. How much
Ben,
faster can they go?
I can tell you, I'm flubbing on the scientific explanation because I don't care, Ben.
I was gonna say I don't know a lot about science, but I've been told that the speed of light is like sort of a speed limit.
Yeah, so I don't care about any of that. I'm perfectly fine with warp drives in science fiction because
Prefer them, I dare say.
yeah, exactly. I'm just gonna say speed of light, bad design, bad
Yeah,
design.
fuck it.
Also, being a teenager, what's that about? Design flaw. Should just go from child to adult. Get rid of that interim bullshit time.
Why child? Just come out a full-grown adult.
Fine, let's do it. Why don't we do that?
Why aren't people like, you have a cow that's born, and that's basically just a tiny cow. It can do all the cow stuff.
Babies can drool all over
Why aren't
themselves
people-
and crap themselves.
Why aren't people like that? And before the Reddit crowd gets in, yeah, I know it's because the skulls are too big for the pelvis, and we evolved to have this like larval stage. It's fine. I know it. I can read Reddit posts too. But
Oh my God! You are sciencing all of the science.
Yeah.
You're mixing in almost some medicine in there. I need you to get out of my territory, Ben.
I just wanted to get in there because it's the whole thing is like they assume that because they know a fact about a thing, they don't understand the thing, but they know a fact about the thing that they can tell other people who don't know that fact about it, and then they'll look like they really have a deep understanding of something, but they don't.
Yeah, that's why I could tell you about this book.
And that-
I'm a smart man.
Well, and that feels kind of like this book is like, here's some facts about some stuff. You don't know anything about interstellar travel. You don't know anything about the physics. You don't know anything about calculating how a sun's luminosity or anything like that. You don't have any kind of deep understanding of the stuff
You
you're talking about.
pull out a pendulum. You hang it in your room.
I did tell you enough little facts that you can go up to people like a 10-year-old child and be like, hey, did you know that if you do a pendulum in the fucking thing, it'll tell you like which direction you're pointed? And it's like, yeah, you know how else you could do that? You look out the window.
Yeah, but they didn't design Windows specifically for this situation, Ben.
They didn't design Windows because of the deadly, deadly radiation. But my point stands.
So, Ben, let's get back to our science guy who's like, I'm fucking the science understudy, and we're both aware this is a one-way trip, so it's just a fling. So I'm sure you can see the problem here, Ben. There's a reason that Obama and Joe Biden didn't sleep together, right?
What? They didn't?
Yeah, no, they couldn't. By law.
But all
Ben.
my fan fiction.
Yeah,
all my fan
by
fiction.
law, they had to be in separate beds. The problem here is if your science guy and your science understudy be boinking, and then something were to happen, right? That wipes out your entire science team.
What?
Yeah.
Would happen?
Yeah.
Like they died in a tragic boinking accident?
Like-
I'm still not understanding.
Like they need to stop hanging around with each other, right? There's a reason.
Why?
There's a reason that the president goes on one plane and the VP goes on another plane. So if something happens, they're not both
okay.
dead.
So you're saying this is before they left?
Yes, this is the flashback. I'm trying to explain why Ryland of all people is here. So there's a thing, Ben.
He was literally the backup to the backup.
He was the backup to the backup. He didn't even know he was the backup. But here's the thing, Ben. There's some sort of gene in this that makes you resistant to comas. They gotta put you in a coma so that you can make the trip, but if you don't have that gene, you're very likely gonna die. Now, it didn't mean shit for those two other people who died anyway, but shut the fuck up, Ben. I'm not here for your explanations, okay? We gotta have someone with the coma-resistant gene. Ryland happens to be one of those people. And,
I want to ask you...
Okay, hold on. We gotta get to the part where the
okay.
science people die. Because he's like, hey, there might be this 1 in a million chance if we accidentally light off the astrophage in this particular way, it will cause a nuclear detonation, release so much energy, we'll all die. I want to run low-level tests of that so that
Absolutely
we're
not.
absolutely sure, right? So I need just give me one. I'm gonna use units that I like. Okay, these aren't the actual units. I need 1 gram of astrophage. Okay, and then the guy who's in charge of dispensing that is like, you said you need 100,000 units of astrophage. All right, here you go. And they lit that off, and it exploded and killed both the science team members. So then they're like, Ryland, you got to get on that ship. And Ryland was like, I kind of don't want to, actually. I need to go be there for my students because he calls them his kids because he's weird. I need to be there for my kids.
No, teachers do that. Teachers do that.
Whatever, Ben. I need to be there for my kids because someone's got to prepare them for the horrible world they're going to live through. And
yeah, it's called parents.
And the science lady was like, yeah, you're just a fucking coward. And he was like, I am a coward. I don't want to die. And that's when she's like, hey, did I mention I am in charge of all the UN powers or whatever? Did you know that the French have invented a chemical that they can interrogate you and then give you a chemical and you get the amnesia, Ben? See where I'm going with this? So they throw him in the brig, then they dope him up with chemicals, put him on the rocket, send him on his merry way, and they're like, when you come to, your fellow comrades will just be like, wow, you must have had a weird reaction to the coma, And you'll just kind of like figure it out as you go anyway. And by the time you realize that I forced you to go on this suicide mission, you'll be too invested to care. You'll want to finish the mission. So off you go.
Okay. So a question.
Yes.
How is it literally a gene?
Yeah.
Is that really what they say?
I don't know if that's exactly what they say. It's a genetic. Look, Andy Weir, he's not a medicine man. Okay, this is part medicine, part science. They're entirely different things. I should mention, but this one requires knowledge of medicine. He's not a medicine man, Ben. So it's possible he might not have gotten it right. It's possible I might be remembering it wrong. If we want to cover this in more detail in the future, which means you would have to read it, okay, all right.
I'm not very sold so far. If my commentary has not revealed, this sounds like it would be a painfully boring experience of little like science factoids that I don't care.
Well,
about.
that's because I haven't gotten into the best part of the book because I've been kind of like moving around it. But what else is your question, Ben? Or is that it? Was it just
I
the
don't
gene?
know. So. When you say the middle of the book drags...
No. The middle of the book for the flashback sequences. That's just all like, let me explain how we turned the rocket into a centrifuge. Let me explain how we power it. Let me explain the radiation problems. And it takes away from the other part, the present day middle of the book, which is... Our guy gets to talk to a fucking alien, and they get to develop a way of communicating with one another and understanding each other, and, like, then they start working together.
Okay, that actually sounds interesting. You might bring me back with that.
Yeah, no, that's the best part of the book.
Okay.
Yeah, so they build the airlock, he opens the door, turns out the dude is a giant spider monster, almost. He's got 5 legs instead of 8, and he's like 3 feet tall or something. But he's a large, rocky body. Our guy decides to call him Rocky because why not? And they start communicating first with like gestures, then with like this guy speaks in multi-toned frequencies, and he basically uses some software that he has to like punch it into an algorithm. They're basically communicating words. He says one thing, it goes into the tones, and Rocky communicates back in tones, goes back to his software, so they start to understand each other.
What?
What?
Where did he get this software?
Ben, this is part of the conceit of UN Lady has access to everything. She gives him access to all the copyrighted material on the planet. You just have to go with it, Ben.
Isn't this a book about doing science?
No! Shut up! It's a book about my cool alien friend, you fucker.
It would make more sense if the alien had a thing that could translate his speech.
Yeah, the aliens are not as good at science as we are, Ben.
How is that possible?
So it turns out they can't see. They see by hearing. They're like Daredevil.
Okay.
And they somehow manage... They live on a planet that's basically completely dark. Also hot, highly pressurized, and filled with ammonia. And they realize their sun was dimming because they're just that smart, I guess. I don't know.
But they heard it dimming?
Yes, Ben, sure. They have access to things that make up for their deficiencies, like the arm on the spaceship. They have like they have eidetic memories too. I feel like I need to throw that out there.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Yes, they're really good at remembering things.
Jesus Christ.
They have advantages in things like mathematics and engineering, which, by the way, this guy is an engineer, Ben, so they complement each other. But their science is lacking. They didn't even know radiation was a thing because we learn Rocky's entire crew of 30 people, he's the last one living. They all died of some unknown affliction, and Ryland immediately realizes, oh, they got radiation poisoning. pretty bad.
What?
Yes.
How are they here?
They managed to fling a big ol' spaceship into the air, Ben. And they have...
From where?
From their planet in a different star system.
They managed interstellar travel
Yes.
without knowing radiation existed.
Yes. There
don't think
is an
that's possible.
explanation for that. I don't know the science, okay? You're
okay.
the closest to a science man. The sun, Rocky's sun, and the location of Rocky's planet, basically the magnetic field of the sun shields their planet from radiation in a large something. They don't have radiation around their planet specifically, so they concluded that space was a void, nothing's in space at all, and then they flung a ship out of their planet, and then they found out.
Turns out it's not.
they found out pretty quick that wasn't the case. They also didn't know about time dilation.
How did they use the astrophage too?
Yes, they used the astrophage too. Rocky is alive because he was an engineer working around the engines, which are full of astrophage, so the radiation didn't get him. But all the other people, they be dead. Also, Rocky's been here for a few decades. They live a really long time, and his planet is nowhere near environmental collapse. I think he said he had like 70 some odd years before it would even get bad.
Okay, how does Rocky understand him?
He talks.
It goes both ways, the software?
He talks, yeah, it goes into the software. Software plays back the tones.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They spend a long time setting up a language. It's like the best part of Axiom's End, except, instead of, like, alien fucking, you get long-winded science explanations.
In what world would you rather have that? Anyway, I got a little bug about this because like language translation software is kind of a thing I take a lot of interest in.
Yeah.
And it's not as good or as smart as is sometimes advertised.
Well, this is
we are nowhere near being able
software
to hear
that has been copyright, patent, whatever, Ben. Boom,
yeah, we're
bam,
nowhere
bang.
near being able to hear a guy talk in a totally alien tone. Like,
it's not totally alien. It's like talking to a whale in space, and also he's a spider.
He's a rock spider. It's nothing like talking to a whale.
Yeah, but he talks like a whale.
Okay.
We also learned some cultural stuff, Ben. He poops out of his mouth.
That was just... That was just the perfect Nate delivery. Nothing you said was that funny. It was just how you said it. I don't know. I would need to design some sort of software to translate to you how I heard that.
Oh, man. Also, Rocky keeps wanting to watch him sleep.
No.
That's
a no, Rocky.
That's because on Rocky's planet, Rocky's people, they don't go to sleep.
Sleep comes to them.
They have no control over it, and they don't dream, and they basically look like they're dead, and they basically fall into a coma for like 10 to 12 hours.
Okay.
Just a fun little fact for you, Ben.
That does not explain why he wants to watch him sleep, though.
Because in their culture, they watch over their comrades sleeping, because their comrades are
in
completely
my culture,
vulnerable.
In my culture, that's fucking weird. No.
Yeah, but he does it anyway. He does it anyway.
Okay. I don't believe Rocky. You ever wake up covered in gravel?
They don't have those appendages.
I don't believe him.
See, one of the Rockies lays eggs, and then the male Rocky comes along and does something to him. Bing, bam, boom, child made.
Yeah. Well.
Or no, they both lay eggs, and then the eggs merge into one super egg and becomes a child. There you go. That's what it was. Am I selling you on this, Ben?
It's not the least romantic thing in this book.
And Rocky, they eventually get around to the business of astrophage. What do we do? And Rocky's like, I'm going to build myself a little ball spacesuit, and I'm going to go into your ship with all my equipment and make little hamster ball tracks, little cute things so I can get around your ship, and we're going to solve the mystery.
I don't hate this. That actually sounds fun.
Yeah, so they go to the planet in this star system that the astrophage go to breed, and they find out that the same number of astrophage that enter the planet leave the planet. So they're stable population. They're not growing out of control. And they find out that there's a natural predator on the planet that eats astrophage.
Much like his spaceship does.
Yes.
Okay.
And so
what is it?
They
an astrophage phage?
They call it Tauamoeba.
Why?
Because it's an amoeba from Tau Ceti.
Okay.
So they basically breed. So the Tauamoeba can't exist on Venus-like conditions or the other Rockies astrophage planet. So they have to breed them to do that. Also, at some point, their spaceship has an unstable orbit. They almost die, and Rocky saves the day. Is on fire because exposure to oxygen is like lethal to him, and great action scene. I'm not doing it any justice at all.
No,
that's the words about book's treatment.
I care about Rocky now. When you mentioned he had a hamster wheel, I was in. I was invested.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's all it took. I can't explain that. I'm not a word scientist. All I know is the idea of like a little crab person in a hamster wheel brings me joy. So now I'm back into this book. And the idea of him being on fire makes me sad. So I'm still invested.
So he does survive that. They recover. They manage to breed Tauamoeba that can survive on Venus and also the other planet. And Ryland and Rocky are like, well, I guess this is where we part ways, because Ryland realizes he can actually make the trip back to Earth because he's got 3 times the amount of food that he thought he would, because, other 2 people are dead.
Isn't he going to be in a coma?
They don't need it. No, he's not going to be in a coma this time.
Okay.
He rightfully doesn't trust the coma technology when 2/3 of the participants died. So he's like, you know what? I'll take my chances eating slurry toothpaste. He doesn't just have slurry toothpaste, but he realizes he will eventually run out of actual good food and will have to rely on eating slurry bullshit again. But he will have enough food to make it back.
Probably can't eat Rocky, huh?
No. You can't eat astrophage either. They're just full of all kinds of poisonous shit.
They're just full of star. Bite the sun.
Aren't we all full of stars? Aren't we all star stuff,
No.
Ben? So they go their separate ways. Ryland's going back. It's like 2 weeks. He gradually loses track of Rocky. And then a power outage happens. Turns out they bred the Tauamoeba to be able to go through, I don't know. They can't go through plastic. They go through whatever else they're containing them in, right? Just play with me here, right? Mm-hmm. And since the ship is powered by astrophage, and Talmiba eat those, it would be really bad if they got inside the fuel, and they kind of did. Not all the he does manage to save some of the astrophage. He jettisons a bunch of stuff, but then he realizes, Ben, Rocky also will have this problem. Rocky is going to have a catastrophic failure to his systems, Ben.
Okay.
So Rylan has to make the choice of either saving his life, going back to Earth, being a hero, probably getting just all the ladies, or in his case, I guess, all the science classes he could ever want. Just non-stop teaching science classes, just a revolving door of science classes. It's gonna be like paradise on Earth, Ben. He will be a hero. And, as I said, he didn't want to die. The suicide mission, not his idea, not what he wanted to do.
Yeah, so I know the other option is going to be or turn around and go save Rocky, but isn't Rocky traveling away from him at near the speed of light? And isn't he out of fuel? And isn't the only way he could ever possibly catch up to Rocky is if Rocky had the same power failure already?
So the answer is yes. He has the same power failure already, and Rylan managed to save a large amount of his fuel because he caught it early.
Oh, okay.
So,
but he doesn't think Rocky will be able to do that?
No, because Rocky is an engineer, Ben. He's not a science guy.
Oh, right. I forgot there's only two kinds of people.
Yes.
Okay.
Scientists and non-scientists. Exactly. So he decides he likes Rocky, Ben. He can't let him die. He can't let his species die. He fires the Beatles, all of which he named after the actual Beatles, in case you were wondering. They have all the data he collected, as well as Talmiba samples. They'll get back to the Earth. Even the one he named after Ringo, which has 2 whole songs on it, and then terabytes and terabytes of terrible, shitty MS Paint art. Rylan's going to go back and save Rocky, but it will mean he will not be able to return home.
Why?
He'll run out of food this time, Ben, for real. Distance is too vast. So he knows it's a one-way trip, but for real this time. And he goes back, he does find Rocky. He manages to get into his ship. Well, he doesn't get in his ship. He manages to tap on the hole and get his attention, I think is what ended up happening. He manages to save the data, and Rocky's like, no, I can't let you die. And Rylan's like, no, there's nothing I can do. I can't eat any of your food. Your food is just like heavy metals. I will definitely die. Can't eat the astrophage. But Ben, he can eat
the amoeba.
Talmiba.
Yeah.
It'll taste like butthole, but it will save his life. And then we go to the epilogue, Ben. He goes back to Rocky's planet.
Okay.
And they build him a little dome bubble.
Hamster wheel?
Yeah. Well, a giant version of that. A giant dome with his atmosphere in it. And they synthesize all the food he could ever want. I think that they made hamburger meat out of cloned cells of him, so he's eating human meat made out of him. I think that's what happened, but, you know, when you've been eating nothing but amoeba and slurry, you know, sometimes you just gotta indulge a little bit.
Yeah, you go for the long pig, you know?
Yeah. And this is years later. They found out Earth has been saved, and he can go back if he wants. They can build him a ship, but he's like, yeah, I don't know, I'll think about it. Rocky's still alive, because Rocky's incredibly long-lived. Rylan's like 50 now. I think it's like 20 years later in his relative
Does Earth
time.
know what happened to him?
Probably. I think he maybe recorded that. He doesn't care. The whole point so, Ben, I never connected with any of the characters except for Rocky, and not really Rylan, but Rylan was like an everyman. I'm going to introduce you to this.
He doesn't sound like everyman.
What? He's an
actually.
everyman who's better than us. He's the better everyman, okay? He's here.
I didn't say he sounded better.
He's here to lead us to the promised land of science enlightenment.
Okay. By teaching 6th grade earth science?
To Rockies, yes.
What? Oh, because they don't have science.
He becomes a teacher on Rocky's planet. Yeah.
That's an interesting...
Basically, all the
That's
human
interesting.
characters are like, they're like one-dimensional. It's definitely not Andy Weir's like strong suit. But I do like Rocky. Rocky was awesome. He made this book single-handedly enjoyable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd have to read some of his stuff. But I always had the impression that The Martian was science wrapped in a narrative.
Yeah, probably.
And the wrapping was kind of loose.
Yeah, probably.
And it was just that Andy Weir, like, I think Andy Weir started with the problem of how would somebody survive on Mars for that long by themselves. And he did a lot of research into figuring out how that could be possible. And he stretched it in places, but more or less he made it work. And this one, it sounds like he was far more ambitious and far more fanciful.
Yeah, I'm okay
And on
with
one
that.
hand, I want to say, yeah, no, I would actually say lean into it.
Yes, I actually like the more sci-fi stuff.
Yeah.
Again,
I don't know.
speed
It's
of
tough for me
light,
to.
bad idea.
I have a perception from The Martian and the way that people have talked to me about The Martian that this book is like The Martian. So I keep expecting there to be all these little experiments and
There are an awful lot of experiments.
Okay, that's what I don't really care
I
about.
think I gave this 5 stars. I think probably 4 stars is more accurate, but I thought it was a pretty good book, Ben.
So
Despite
knowing what
some of the annoying stuff.
So knowing what I think about the factoid stuff, do you think I would like this?
I think
Or do you think I would have a chance?
that if you could get yourself to the part of the book where Rocky shows up, you'll start to have a good time.
Roughly how much of the book is Rocky in?
The vast majority of the book.
Really?
Yeah. I would say he shows
Okay.
up about, I don't know, a sixth of the way through, and then he's
Oh, wow.
in it.
Okay, that's
He's in it for the rest, except obviously for the flashbacks.
interesting. Okay, that's not the impression I got at all as you were explaining it.
Yeah, no, it's words about books. We focus on
Yeah.
on the yeah. So definitely.
So the bulk of the book is him working with an alien to solve
Yes.
a common problem.
and working on creating a language so they could communicate and figuring out where we're from and why we're here and and solving problems to how do we work together when our atmospheres are so incompatible with one another.
Okay. You know what? I think I could probably like that.
Yeah, it was the best part of the book
don't know-
by far. I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I could get into that. I am willing to read this actually.
Oh my god.
If you want to do I think we did what if I trade
I knew you were gonna do this.
you knew I was going to do
Yeah,
this?
I know what you're
I was
gonna
actually-
ask for too.
I didn't know I was going to do this.
I
I was
did.
actually about to say I'd read it. But no, I think I'll trade you. I will trade you
I
Babel
knew you were gonna do it.
for Project Hail Mary. What do you say? Because we both here's why I think it's fair. Because we're both warning the other about the parts that they will find very boring. For me, it's the dumb, gimmicky science experiments. And for you, it's the long diatribes about etymology.
All right, we might not get to it this year though.
I agree with that. We've scheduled a long way out, and I do, I said one of my goals for this year is to try to do more collaborations and stuff with other people, and I don't even know when we're going to squeeze that in. That's why if I haven't reached out to you about doing a collaboration, that's why, because I'm not good at scheduling. I'm also moving again. I think that would be a fun little thing, because the last one we did that we both wound up reading was Legends and Lattes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And yeah.
Notice me,
that
Travis
one
Baldry
was-
Sensei.
Notice. It's supposed to be senpai.
Whatever.
That's how you really.
Whatever.
It's That's how you really embarrass yourself. But yeah, I think Legends and Lattes wound up being a good one. This is the first one you've recommended to me.
I also recommended Halo Fall of Reach.
Yeah, this is the first one you recommended to me that you actually thought I might read. So, I played Halo with you.
Yeah, you did.
That counts.
It might as well.
Yeah, that counts. So yeah, I think, yeah, we'll do that. That'll be fun. But, unfortunately, before I read Project Hail Mary, I'm going to read that short story
Yeah, so am
about
I.
Ready Player One. I have to. And the unfortunate thing is, if I like Project Hail Mary, we've already done this episode where I kind of wasn't very positive about it. And we've already really insulted his friend Ernest Klein for like, God, I don't know, 12 hours. And
So he'll never come on.
I don't think this guy. Oh no, he's not gonna like us. But I am willing to not be liked. That's why I got into the podcasting business. In fact,
Yeah, Ernest Klein
That-
sucks.
I
I
love-
don't know what to tell you, man. Get better friends. Follow us on Twitter, even though you don't want to. It's a necessary evil at this point. It's not getting any better. But that's at WAB Pod. We've got an Instagram where stuff is actually happening at Words About Books Podcast. Is that right?
that's
We've
right.
got a Mastodon. Just kidding. No, we don't. We also have a Discord now. Ben, how do you Discord?
It's in our Twitter bio. I guess I could put a link on the blog as well. We have a blog.wordsaboutbooks.net.
All right. We also have shout-outs. Ben.
We do.
We've got Brad, a.k.a. Isekai Sensei Sama. Where can you find Brad, Ben?
You can find Brad at animepodcasterreincarnation.com.
All right. You've got James. James of If You Want the Gravy fame. Ben, where can you find James?
On the If You Want the Gravy blog, where he talks about movies, books, sodas, cereals, and everything in between.
We also have a new shout out, Ben. Someone decided to skew towards the $10 tier. Ben, who's our new shout out?
I guess we have to shout out Spooky Shy, whoever they may be.
They've been on this podcast before.
Oh shit, that's right.
They did an episode
Go
with
back
you.
and listen to that episode to figure it out. The answer may surprise you.
No, it won't. All right, bye.
Ta-ta. Or as, what's his name, Rocky would say. No, because Will Wheaton is the absolute worst person you could have narrate anything. His voice is so punchable. I would rather be married to Matt Damon than listen to a Will Wheaton narrated audiobook. And that's how I'm going to end the episode. So for anybody
Okay.
who's just tuning in, I hope you're confused.
Yeah, why would you just be tuning in? Hey everyone, Future Nate, just want to apologize. I know this was a short episode this week. It was only 7 minutes long, but I hope all the after credits stuff really made up for the short episode. See you next week.